Hi everyone, and a big warm welcome to this edition of the studio. Great to see so many of you joining us again here today. We will shortly move to the key focus of today, which is a deep dive into sustainability. But before we do so, let's meet up with our CPO Andrea Fuder to discuss current state of affairs. Hi Andrea.
Hi Linn, good to see you.
Good to see you back here in our studio. So on Q2 result, we posted a strong result from the group. Any reflections from you on that?
Yes, it was indeed a strong result. But knowing that we are in the midst of a transformation, I think it is absolutely important to have now this strong performance, especially as we cannot stop this transformation, even in these times of uncertainty. On contrary, we have to continue to accelerate the activities in the transformation.
So full speed on transformation. I've heard you talk about the uncertainty several times here in the studio before, but remind us, what are some of the factors that you see out there?
Linn, it's more or less the same, and you are right, I have talked about it several times before, that the environment is unpredictable, and this is how it continues to be. We have geopolitical issues, we have the impacts from climate change, we are living in an inflationary environment, and so on and so forth. So we have to accept that being in uncertain times is the new normal, but this means as well that in everything what we do, we have to stay really close together.
And that's very clear. How do you then see this impacting how we work now with our supply partners in the network?
First of all, I would like to say, Linn, that I think the way we work today is really fantastic. I feel really connected. It is this one team spirit. It's not us and them. It is us together for the customer, for the society. And it really needs a very open and transparent communication. And like I said, we have to stay close. So just let us continue what we have done so far, and which was very successful.
Let's now get deeper into the topic of today of sustainability. At Volvo Group, we span across 3 pillars in our sustainability work: climate, resources, and people. In our last edition of the studio, we spent a lot of time deep diving into climate, and today we will focus on the resource aspect. So Andrea, when we say protecting resources, what do we mean as a company by that statement?
Of course, under this headline, protecting resources, there are many aspects. This is where we see protecting biodiversity. This is where we talk about water management in a good way. This is where we have the area to avoid substances of concern. But of course, a big part of that is circularity, to really develop circular business models, to avoid, to scale up by using more and more virgin material.
And what do you see as some of the key factors in getting circularity right when we work with our supply partners?
You know, we are really dependent on the knowledge each and every supply partner has for his area of expertise. So what we do from purchasing side is we go into dialogue with our supply partners and talk about their area of expertise, what opportunities they see to use from the beginning recycled material, but also after the lifetime, how to use the material again to bring it back in the loop and not create waste, which worst case is used in landfill, right? We also have a lot of discussions on remanufacturing, repairing, reusing, repurposing. But these discussions have to happen very early. And like I said, of course, here we are dependent on the expertise of each and every supply partner.
And the use of circularity as an approach is also an important element for our decarbonization commitments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, to create circularity in the system is also helping a lot to reduce the greenhouse gas by avoiding mining of new material, a lot of transport, etc. So, like you said, doing one thing is also helping to protect the climate.
And Andrea, you met with our head of circularity, Mark Bamber. Let's tune in to that clip and hear a bit more on that dialogue.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Andrea.
Mark, the role you have is pretty new in Volvo Group Purchasing. So what is circularity and remanufacturing about?
So we first started with identifying the roadblocks, and from there creating a strategic roadmap that allowed us to see the objectives, develop our purpose. Training, and it was also very important to ensure that we had the clarity and the understanding of people. From there we created a one-stop shop which allows all our Volvo colleagues to visit this SharePoint and introduce a stepwise reman using the right tools in the right environment. So it's been quite an interesting journey.
But remanufacturing is not really new to Volvo Group. I think we have done this for years.
We have indeed. So we started remanufacturing in the 1950s, mainly with engines and gearboxes, but now we have a much wider, a greater depth and more experience. And of course, with electrification of vehicles, we have many more projects in the pipeline, and we need to manage those in the best way.
I have one specific question, Mark. Can we really put every remanufactured part back on a commercial vehicle?
And here's a critical point. It has to be designed for remanufacturing. We come across many products where we have welded parts or parts with a DCIF in, or where we have sealed units, and it's impossible for us to remanufacture those parts without damaging it. And it's all about getting the right salvage rates so we can remanufacture the part to the right level. And if we use that type of technology, we can't remanufacture parts. So design have really got an important part to play in designing for remanufacturing.
Going to the whole area of circularity, circularity is also supporting the decarbonization journey, right?
Right. We have very ambitious tools within the Volvo Group to be carbon neutral by 2040. And by using remanufactured product, we have proven that we can reduce the carbon footprint by a significant amount by energy consumption at 80% less and raw material by 80% less. So it really does have a significant role to play within that carbon footprint activity.
Really good to hear. Is there any final advice you would like to give to other purchasers?
We have to engage our supplier partners. They are critical. We can't do this on our own. Many of our suppliers have design responsibility, and we also need them to implement this type of philosophy when they are designing parts, that we design it for remanufacturing. Then we have a win-win-win situation with carbon footprints, we have availability and uptime for the customers, and of course we have a product offering in the field.
It can't get better.
It can't.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Some very insightful discussions there between you and Mark. On this accomplishment towards circularity, there is a really good framework to use in the R framework, Andrea. Can you share a bit more around what that is and how that can be utilized?
Yeah, I think we at Volvo Group, we use a lot the R framework, where you have different levels of R's, starting with don't do it at all, rethink. I like that. And then of course you go via the whole stage of repair, remanufacturing, finally to recycling. I think it's a very systematical approach, and it forces you to think in different ways. Of course, when you think about Volvo Group, we work in all areas, and I think what is well known that we are already very strong in remanufacturing, for example, of gearboxes, of engines, of complex subcomponents, also very often done together with our supply partners. But now in the transformation, of course, new components will arrive where we have to maintain the same way of thinking.
So on that notion of new components, let's tune in to a clip by Joachim Rosenberg discussing how Volvo Energy is looking into particularly how to reuse and recycle the battery.
There are already thousands of products from Volvo Group with electric batteries out in the market. Soon, they will become millions. How do we keep track of all these batteries and maximize the potential of each battery throughout the entire life cycle? That's why Volvo Energy is developing a new tool that will help determine how to take care of each battery, making it easier for all of us within Volvo Group to make good decisions. The tool bases its decision on a large amount of data. For example, the health of the battery, how much it would cost to transport a battery, the market price, regulations, and customer demand of both first and second life batteries. One key component of the tool is the battery next step, based on a number of triggers. For example, when the health of a battery declines, the tool will tell us whether we should remanufacture or refurbish the battery and send it back to the first life application, or if we should repurpose the battery for a second life application, or if the best option is to recycle it. Taking care of our batteries is essential in a sustainable, circular business model, good for both our business and the environment. Our aim is to make this tool an enabler for a wide range of services, creating value for both the Volvo Group and its customers. Volvo Energy, dedicated to accelerating the group's electrification and sustainability journey.
We should not end our value chain with recycling. We should start our value chain with recycling and keep that in mind and design for that the input material that is going into the value chain is recycled material coming in. And if we do that, and if we have that mentality, maybe we will not be successful in 100% of the cases, but for sure the success rate will go up. As we saw in the movie, we also have the ultimate objective then of moving the batteries into second life. And with second life, we mean new kinds of application outside the vehicles. So then the obvious question is, what kind of applications are you talking about, Joachim? And the answer is a lot. Right? It can be energy storage systems for home use, for commercial use, for industrial use. It can be chargers for pass cars. It can be backup batteries in cell phone towers. It can be helping the national operator to stabilize the grid through FCR applications. There are so many applications that we can use batteries for, also when they are in second life. Of course, you can do it with first life also, but also in second life, because when the battery comes out from the vehicle, it still has about 75–80% state of health left. So why should it go directly to recycling if there's nothing wrong with it? It's not good for the planet, it's not good for the profitability of our companies.
Great to see all of the progress in the Volvo Energy area. This brings us to the end of our broadcast today. We have focused on sustainability in the last two episodes of the studio under the headings of climate and today on protecting resources. Now for our next studio, we will focus on the third part of our pillar under the people heading and zooming in on our supply partner code of conduct. Thank you so much for all of you joining today, and of course a big thank you to you, Andrea, for great discussions.
No, thank you, Linn. It was like always a pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to see also all of you to our next studio.